morning. My name's Vincent Bowling here, 15 feet below the water, Escondido, California, for the National Human-Powered Submarine Race. Contestants from across this great land of ours have gathered here with hope of breaking or smashing even the Guinness Book of Records speed record for human-powered submarines. In the Canadian sub, the pilot lays on his stomach, facing forward, while the stoker or peddler of the submarine lays on his back, actually on top of the pilot himself. So you can get a better idea maybe about how tough this is.
Although a large part of the sub-challenge is just in loading the crew into the submarine, which is already submerged. On deck is where the submarine team members meet the challenge of last-minute adjustments that seem like a frantic surgery before the launch. There are 14 submarines entered in this event, and each one is of a different design. The challenge here is the fastest speed by a human-powered submarine through a 10-meter speed trap. At stake, a coveted Guinness World Record. The submarine design requirements for the Guinness Record Challenge are simple. Each human-powered submarine must be fully flooded and the occupants fully enclosed. The actual submarine designs, however, are not so simple.
This is the navigator's position. This is the air supply system he uses, as explained earlier. His air supply comes in through this hose from this tank. When he exhales, goes out this corrugated hose, up through this T and out the top of the sail.
You got a lot of triathletes and professional cyclists and whatnot racing in the race, but when you stick them in a small confined area like this, it's flooded with water, it kind of changes the whole scenario. You have to be real confident, and my 6 years of racing in submarines, I've got the confidence and I'm psyched.
Once the on-deck preparations for a speed run are completed by the submarine support teams, each sub is very, very carefully lowered into the basin. Well, most subs anyway. The San Diego Indoor Basin is nearly the size of a football field and averages 15 feet deep. This controlled water environment provides the human-powered submarines with an ideal location to challenge the Guinness World Record. Submerged in the basin is a Guinness-sanctioned timing device. This underwater mechanism measures the human-powered submariners' top speeds as they pass through the speed trap.
At this very moment, I'm standing beside one of the cameras that is set up at the very entrance to the speed trap. Submarines pass right in front of these cameras, right between the video. This is where we determine the speed of the submarine, hopefully breaking records. Look back in 1992 at the Guinness Book of Records event then.
From the computer control room back on the surface, the timing technicians measure the precise video frames of the submarines as they enter and exit the speed trap.
20604.
These exact video frames are then entered into the computer database. The result is an extremely accurate speed for the submarine in knots, where 1 knot equals 1.2 miles an hour.
We're at the end of the track where the submarines are practically racing down a drag strip. Here behind me, you can probably see the flashing strobe light, is the entrance to the speed trap. This method of speed tracking has been used by the Guinness Book of World Records and is sanctioned by them here at this event in Escondido, California for the West Coast Invitational. I think I'm maybe actually going to have a chance at breaking this record this time. Steady she goes, mate. Steady she goes, mate. Little off course. Oh, it's got a little end. I feel like E.T. Oh.
We think our sub's capable of about 4.5 knots. Design speed's 5.5, but anyone familiar with submarines knows that that's pretty much a tough shot. And we're the fastest sub here today so far, although the heat of the competition will be next week. We're hoping to get it up to 4.5 after lunch. We've got some rest and we'll be able to pump a little harder.
With several runs through the speed trap, the University of Washington logs in the event's first speed record for a two-person sub with a top speed of 4.1 knots. The next speed course challenger is the Subjugator from the Battelle Group in Columbus, Ohio.
To be inside there, it's pretty comfortable. It's nothing, you know. We have I'm the one who does the work.
He's the one that does the work, and I just kind of steer it, so.
It's like going up on a bicycle up the biggest mountain you can imagine in high gear. It's a lot of work off the get-go. It's hard to get going, and you just got to hang on as best you can to get across the line.
Underwater, the Battelle team loads the pilot and stoker into the subjugator for a two-person run through the trap. Time is of the essence due to a combination of limited onboard air supply and the bone-chilling 52-degree water. Once the hatch is secured, the safety divers maneuver the submarine into position and signal the stoker to begin pedaling the submarine down course.
Oh, there she comes right there, folks. Zipping through the water. Looks like the propeller was a little bit too high. Oh, no, she's taking it out. Oh, crashed hard into the bottom of the floor. The catch divers are trying to stop her now. That looked like it could be quite a joke for the driver and the stoker inside there. I hope everyone's okay.
After their crash test, the subjugator team blazed two new world records, 5.4 knots for the two-person configuration and 4.5 for a one-person human-powered submarine. But will these records hold up against the next challenger? The pelagic cruiser. Disaster strikes. During the pelagic cruiser's first run through the speed trap, the sub struck the basin wall. As Team Pelagic positions the sub along the basin wall for repairs, the pelagic pilot watches on while Subhuman 3 makes ready for its assault on the course. Disaster strikes again. Subhuman 3 strikes a marker buoy as it enters the speed trap, eliminating what appeared to be an excellent run. Meanwhile, as the safety divers repair the course, the already loaded pelagic cruiser, repaired to near perfection, moves into the starting position. The signal to go is given.
Yes, we're the current world record holders for the moment. It was just a great run. I just had a lot of fun back there.
Right now, officially, it's I think 5.5 knots. When we first started going, we kind of locked into almost perfectly flat, and it was the best run that we've done, really.
We're hoping for 6. We want to give FAU something to worry about.
Additional contenders anxiously await their attempts on the new world record just set by Pelagic in a time of 5.5 knots. Now on the course is Lockheed's experimental sub-design. From the front, the torpedo appears similar. From the rear, however, it becomes clear this is no ordinary human-powered submarine. Although Lockheed's torpedo did not set any records, it did prove an effective non-propeller sub-design. Outside, the Canadian team from Montreal is readying their submarine. This sub is the event's most technologically advanced entrant. It features a waterproof onboard computer that controls the pitch of the submarine's propeller.
We have a variable pitch propeller that is adjusted by a computer. So there's a computers inside with a captor like flow meter, RPM, things like this.
Although plagued with technical difficulties, the Omer team eventually logged a 3.1 through the speed trap. On deck, panic has set in. The UCLA submarine team discovers that the nose cone on their sub has been shattered in transit.
We're from UCLA, and I don't know what it's like to fly it yet because we haven't flown it yet. Work out the last few bugs and get going, do our time trials tomorrow. So we're excited, but we don't know. We don't really have any idea how it's going to perform, whether or not it's going to go straight. We're just kind of going to wing it.
And does the UCLA pilot have any trouble keeping her all-male submarine crew in line?
No, I have a whip, though.
The inability to talk underwater makes it difficult to communicate, even a simple concept. Imagine being an engineer and not being able to communicate with other team members right next to you. Anticipating this dilemma, a few sub-teams have incorporated underwater communication systems into their sub-designs as an edge. The sub's pilot and stoker from the UC Santa Barbara team are utilizing full-face communication systems. These Darth Vader-looking face masks enable the submariners to talk to each other and to the team's dive coordinator at the surface, even when they're loaded in the submarine.
And they put the submarines in the block, and it was only 30 seconds or so before the race was going to go off. Everybody was tensing up, and Gary's talking away on his full face mask and goes, what's this, the door that those subs opening? And Ted put his hand out with the Grey Poupon. He goes, wait, it's a jar of Grey Poupon. And everybody just started cracking up on the beach, and they thought it was the most absurd thing.
When the laughter settles, it is back to business as the Grey Poupon pranksters from the Subosaurus team review the strategy for their next speed run. At the end of several runs, the Benthos team logged in their fastest time yet at 5.2 knots. Midway through the competition, the Pelagic Cruiser leads with a newly established world record, 5.5 knots. Battelle's Subjugator is in a tight second, with Team Benthos holding a close third.
Towing orders just down here comes the UC San Diego sub. Zipping through the light water. It looks like a great run for this team. That was one of the more successful runs of the UC San Diego team. They've got a great-looking sub, a great-looking team up there, and they're having a lot of fun at this event, just like all the other contestants here.
With nose cone repairs completed, the UCLA team breathes a sigh of relief and launches its own assault on the world speed record.
Hey, back with you again right below the UCLA submarine. They're loading up to prepare for another run here at the West Coast Invitational. I believe they already have their pilot and stoker in place. And now safety diver appears to be positioning the craft. The team divers from the UCLA team have now just about got their sub ready to start off for another try. If you look inside, the window visibility of the pilot is very small, and it looks like they're off. Here they go. Off to a good start. Steady she goes, UCLA, go.
We got 3-4. We're going straight. Yeah, I want my fist. We're going straight as an arrow. About as beautiful as we could have hoped for. So we're happy. Definitely very happy, and I'm ready to get out of this cold water.
Next up, the human-powered submarine that saved New York City. Best known as the creator of the Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci was also an imaginative inventor. Claiming he invented a human-powered submarine, da Vinci withheld the submarine's design. In his notes he wrote, "I do not publish or divulge on account of the evil nature of men who practice assassination at the bottom of the sea."
I think the story that most Americans know about human-powered submarines is David Bushnell's Turtle from the American Revolutionary War. It had a propeller that drove it forward and another propeller that pushed it down, plus they had ballast tanks to cause it to rise and sink in the water.
Human-powered submarines have evolved from the first manned undersea diving machines. State-of-the-art in their time, the different human-powered submarine designs reflect the genius of necessity. 2 centuries later, modern-day submariners are equally as ingenious. However, advanced technologies add a definite flair.
Our basic hull shape was developed by an aerodynamicist at Boeing
that's part of the team, as well as the size of the control fins and the general propeller design. The hull from a cross-section is a symmetrical airfoil shape, as well as from the top. It's an elliptical cross-section, and then it's set up with a tapering equation so that at the tail end it goes into a circle rather than an ellipse. So that right at the propeller we have a 6-inch diameter circle.
The Triton submarine's design simplicity includes a singular joystick for directional control and an integrated onboard communication system that permits communications between pilot, stoker, and those on the water's surface. The Triton submarine team readies for their speed runs with anticipated top design speeds at or near the newly established world record set by Subjugator.
We can go in a straight line if the fins are pointed in a straight direction, but once it goes off course, I can't readjust it.
On deck, the Triton sub-team briefs prior to their next attempt on the world record. With the newly modified control surfaces installed, the Triton pilot expects fast runs in a straight line. With top speeds placing close to, but not breaking, the newly established world mark.
Well, we've had a few technical difficulties. Chain derailed. Having a little trouble fitting in the sub with all the equipment we need to wear for this cold water.
That isn't fun. No, it's about as cramped as possible. I wish I'd taken some yoga lessons or something before I volunteered to do this, but yeah, I'm in there as tight as I possibly can be, and it's not comfortable at all.
We'll see what happens. We made a run this morning, and the chain came off, so we glided through the second half of the course. The hatch came off during the run. We came back and it bent the prop, and we still did 2.7 knots. So hopefully if the chain stays on, and we don't bend the prop, and we keep the hatches on, we'll double our speed. That's our plan.
The team's field repairs kept the sub's drive chain in place during their speed runs. C-Spot went on to set a new FIT team record, but still left the Battelle team holding the world's speed record. The next challenger on the course, Subdistic. Subdistic's hull is constructed of bulletproof Kevlar material that is fiberglass wrapped. This combination provides an excellent strength-to-weight ratio for the submarine. Utilizing this construction technique translates into less submarine density that the stoker must push through the water on each speed run. Once the stoker has locked his feet into position, he tests the drive system with a few rotations, then signals the safety diver that he's locked and loaded. Subdistic's speed runs were all successful, logging in top speeds just short of the current speed to beat of 5.5 knots. At the Basin launch site, the Subhuman 3 team readies their sub for another attempt at the course.
Took it easy, took it kind of slow. We had some control problems early yesterday, and so we made some modification to the boat, so we just wanted to get through the trap and post a time, and the boat seems to be handling a lot better, so I'm pretty confident it's a 6-knot sub if we can just get all the kinks ironed out.
The veteran Subhuman 3 team loads efficiently into their submarine, while the pilot prepares to negotiate the course obstacles during their high-speed run. After several obstacle-free runs through the speed trap, the Subhuman 3 team makes way for UC Santa Barbara, already on the course. Team UC Santa Barbara's underwater communication system proved invaluable for them, enabling team members to load crew members, effect repairs to the submarine, and adjust ballast underwater without continued trips to the surface. The result is less time loading the submarine, allowing more of the crew's finite and valuable airtime for speed runs through the trap. The largest of all 14 entrants in this event, the UC Santa Barbara submarine bulldozes through the speed trap with its stealth-like design and efficient propulsion system. Efficient as possible, the UC Santa Barbara team is also unable to beat Battelle's Subjugator, the fastest human-powered submarine in the world so far.
I guess we'll be the first to break 6 knots, officially.
No, I don't think so. Not in this tank. I think it's too shallow, and the effects, the wall effects, and the bottom effects, and the surface effects, just you wind up sending out a pressure wave, and it hits the bottom and the top, and it just slows you down. So we need more depth of water to run faster. 6 knots is going to be pretty tough, but I think we can do it.
We have 3 different propellers. We're not really sure which one's the best, so we're going to try all 3 and see what happens. The shorter, fatter one, but actually we use a lot in practice because it's a little more robust than all the others, but it's actually pretty quick. So today we're going to be running all 3, try and find out which one works the best for these conditions.
After their first run, Florida Atlantic University logs in a good 4.8 knots, but is nowhere near a new record. The FAU sub-team decides to make a quick prop change at the surface. When completed, the team repositions its sub. This time, the FAU sub will start at the extreme end of the course, against the basin wall. The competition heats up as Florida Atlantic sets a new world record on their second attempt with an official speed of 5.8 knots. Back on deck for quick repairs is Subhuman, the University of California at San Diego one-person sub. The team is readjusting the submarine's high-tech counter-rotating propellers in preparation for their final speed runs. Their goal? Shatter Battelle's one-person speed record, now standing at 4.5 knots.
They're getting ready to make their third run for the day. Hopefully it'll be a good one for them.
Subhuman performed perfectly, but left the Subjugator's world speed record for a one-person human-powered submarine unbroken at 4.5 knots. On deck, the Florida Atlantic University team is preparing their 2-man sub to run through the course once more. Now that FAU holds the new world record at 5.8 knots, the team goal shifts to breaking the 6-knot barrier.
We've just heard the starting horn here at the West Coast Submarine Invitational. Oh, there goes FAU. Straight through the speed trap. Looks like it could be a possible another record-breaking run for the FAU submarine here today. I tell you, that thing was humming by.
Since the FAU submarine has no brakes, safety divers position themselves in front of the catch net to prevent the sub from crashing into the wall. Florida Atlantic University has done it again. Breaking their previous record of 5.8 knots, they set a new world record speed with an official 5.95 knots. Besides sharing a common birthday during the Scripps Institution-sponsored Submarine Invitational, event coordinators Jim Richardson and Kevin Hardy also share a common vision. They strive to inspire continued education with a learning is lots of fun philosophy.
It's been a wonderful time here at the West Coast Invitational. I hope it's inspired your interest in underwater technology. It certainly has ours. We'll see you back here again sometime.
On the bottom. Ken, you're in the middle of the race course.